Hey, welcome back to Random Grannie, your newly neurodivergent person. We're going to be doing our hair today, as usual. We're going to body double, but today we're also going to be talking about autistic burnout. And is that what I'm experiencing right now? I think it is. Are you burned out? You're not quite sure? Let's talk about it. So for today's detangle and talk, I wanted to talk a little bit about just burnout. And not like your regular run-of-the-mill burnout. I'm talking specifically autistic burnout, neurodivergent burnout, because it's a whole different animal. And my whole thing started back, I don't know, probably a little over a month ago, when I had a meltdown over mayo that my husband had brought back from the grocery store, not knowing where that came from and not knowing why I was, behaving badly, and talking to my therapist about things and realizing the one thing that I've been trying to avoid is a diagnosis of autism. I've had a psychologist recommend that I be tested for autism, and this was several years ago, and then my therapist has also been recommending it, and I've been fighting it. But I was just at a place in my life where I didn't want that. And the fact of the matter is, there's all these other things now that are starting to surface that are really starting to really explain myself to myself. And I actually took notes, and so I'm serious, right? Hopefully I can keep track through my notes. But let me get this going here first. You guys, my hair real quick. Yesterday I went through it and did a little bit of a detangle, but I went in and I trimmed my ends because my ends were so frayed and sticking together so much that the last time I did my hair after I was off camera, I was so rough with my hair and I was just cutting chunks out of it, and I just told myself I just need to stop. So I've trimmed my hair up a little bit. So that's why it looks kind of like it's detangled, but we're going to do a better job of that. But anyway, I wanted to tell you guys that I actually took notes today because I have some things that I truly want to discuss with you guys, because this has been just such an experience for me, not even figuring out all of these things, seeing all of these things unfold from within me that I had forgotten about or didn't know was there because I'd been masking my whole life and gaslighting myself, right? So I took some notes so I could really make an impact on my words today. And so this is what I'm seeing so far. Masking and camouflaging and just pretending to be somebody else has burnt me. I'm burnt out. I've literally been doing it my whole life since I was a child, and I'm now 64. I'm tired, and I should be. I'm finding it hard to put my mask back up. I'm noticing things and stems and symptoms, whatever you want to call it, or personality quirks or whatever you want to call it, that I'm trying to control and I want to cover up, and I'm finding that I can't mask like I used to. Now that I know I was a master at masking, camouflaging, I'm having a problem reestablishing that mask back up, and that's weird for me. I'm exhausted all the time, and I just feel apart from myself. I feel disconnected from myself. And so this all started the other day. Slow the brain down. The other day I filmed a little fun thing, an elderly neurodivergent, person, what they look like studying. And so I video myself for 4 minutes. And what I saw in that 4 minutes shocked me. I was shocked, and I cried because I'm like, oh my God, I'm so glad that when I was in school situations or work situations where I was actively learning and having to listen and take notes and pay attention. I'm so glad that I knew how to, I was masking. I'm so glad, because me at home, unmasked, what I saw disturbed me. I'm not gonna lie, because I don't see myself as that person. It ignited the burnout that was already building. And when I first started this whole process of, just being with my therapist and, finding out that, I've got all these neurodivergent tendencies, and in fact, I am neurodivergent, I have just had my eyes opened so much. And the thing that's really eye-opening for me, I guess, is actually I'm surprising myself. I'm surprising myself with my ability to put myself out there, film myself, watch myself, because it's hard to watch yourself, especially on purpose. And it's humbling. And the thing that I would recommend, and I don't like recommending, I like telling stories, is be open-minded with who you think you are, especially if you are neurodivergent. 9 times out of 10, you're not the person that you think you are, because the person I saw on that video studying at home, unedited, unscripted, is not the person I thought I was. As a matter of fact, as I was having the camera just set up on me randomly, it's a 4-minute clip, as I had the camera set up on me, in my mind, I was, like taking notes and, being engaged and, paying attention and things like that. And that's in my mind what I saw. What I saw outwardly was very different and shocking. And also illuminating, because that 4-minute video showed what I was feeling on the inside, which now I know is burnout. It is real, it is heavy, and it's something that we work through, because people will say things like, oh, well, you're just, lazy, or, you're sleeping all the time, and why don't you get up and do something, or, you're just blowing things out of proportion, or, it's really not that bad, or, just suck it up and do whatever it is you have to do. And then you know what we do? We do those things. We suck it up. We put the mask on tighter. We strap that sucker on so tight, we can't even breathe. And we don't even realize that we can't breathe. We don't realize that we're not breathing. How many times have you been doing something, or even just sitting around, you're at home or doing anything, and then all of a sudden you go, because you've been holding your breath? Do you do that, or am I the only one? Comment down below and let me know. And you don't realize that in those situations you are masking so much, and the mask is so tight that we can't breathe, and it's so tight that now I believe it also restricted my hearing, because sometimes I can't hear you. I can't hear anything coming out of your mouth. I see it moving. I know we're supposed to be in a conversation. I know I'm supposed to be engaged into the conversation. But then I go into that thing. Am I looking? Oh, you guys. Oh, hang on. I gotta put these on today. Totally overstimulated today, you guys. I can't stand to have any. Just don't touch my wrists today. What was I saying? I have no idea what I was saying. I'm glad that I was wearing that mask, because being home unmasked, I was like, oh, I didn't know what to do with that information. Hang on a minute. Well, I'm back. Sorry about that. Had a little bit of a meltdown because, had to put these on. But anyway, I was talking about, when we're having situations of potential meltdown, whether at home or at work, with our families, wherever you happen to be, whatever your life is like, and they're telling us to, to suck it up, and we're putting that mask on even tighter. And we don't even realize that we can't breathe. And I believe that's where I left off, because the mask has gotten so tight. My burnout right now is realizing that that mask was so tight, and I haven't been able to breathe in so long that the mask won't go back on. It refuses to go back on, and I'm left with this raw state of me and what to do with that. And if you're experiencing burnout, you deserve every bit of it, because I think about me as an elder, and I think about my life all the way back to being a child, and how long I've had to mask or, cover up who I was, and stuff like that, and cover up my stems, and, cover up being inquisitive even. I stopped asking questions because, it always seemed like it was frowned upon, asking questions, especially like even as an adult in meetings. You could almost hear people going, oh, here she goes again. She's going to be asking a whole bunch of questions. We just want to get out of the meeting. Can't you ask your questions after the meeting? Stuff like that. And I got to a point where, I even masked that. I'm like, okay, well, we're sitting in a meeting, we're getting information, or we're sitting in a classroom and we're learning a subject, and it just seems natural to me to want to have questions. I mean, isn't that a natural thing to have questions? I don't know. I think it should be normalized. I think people that don't want to answer our questions and don't want to answer our whys, I think they're ignorant and they don't know the answer. I think they just go with status quo, and I think they just believe whatever somebody tells them to believe, and they don't have the ability to ask questions or answer the why. Why would you do that, or why would you say that? You know what I mean? And the trick for us is we know our whys. If you are neurodivergent and you've been fighting it like I have, because, I thought it was normal. But I think what we need to do is, I think we need to be kinder to ourselves. And, and I say that a lot, when I'm talking about being kinder to ourselves. But what I really mean by that is, I'm so mean to myself right now. I'm going to be honest. I have these words coming out of my mouth, but I'm not doing what my words are, I'm not doing it. There's that. But, I'm trying to give myself some grace, because I thought I knew everything. I thought I knew what autism was, and it wasn't me. It was some kid, a little boy wearing a helmet that liked dinosaurs and trains. Yeah, I said it. Don't get offended. I'm being real here. That's what I thought. And so all of a sudden, to be faced with the thought that I'm autistic as a Black female elder, it's a little much. I think I deserve to have my little meltdowns, and I'm having a lot of them lately. And when I talk about giving ourselves grace and being kinder to ourselves, I guess I'm saying it out loud for myself too, because quite honestly, I haven't been very nice to myself at all. I've been very mean to myself. Well, that's dumb and that's stupid, and why are you doing that? And, that's what your mother told you a long time ago. Stop doing that. That's gonna become a bad habit. Stop walking on your toes. Hold your hands straight. Don't eat the bedspread. Stop flapping your hands. Stop. Those are bad habits. Stop doing that stop doing that. You're gonna screw your face up, and it's gonna stick like that and stay like that. I learned to start masking at the age of, I don't know, 4. I certainly learned how important it was once I got to kindergarten. Now I understand why I would have my little mini tantrums, all throughout my life. I mean, was I burnt out as a child? Can children get burned out? I don't know. I don't know anything about autism. I'm still researching it. There's definitely something going on. Is it autism? Probably, but I'm going to ask questions and I want to know the why, and I want to know everything about, all of the weird things that I do. And unfortunately, every time I find a weird thing that I do and I look it up, it's usually an autistic trait. It's actually kind of funny. Funny, but not funny. I think we misunderstand our burnout. I think sometimes we think our burnout is depression and anxiety. And depression and anxiety is a part of it. But the depression and anxiety is not the root cause. The root cause is us wearing a mask for so tight and pretending to be somebody else for so long that we don't even know who we are. And then when something catastrophic happens, like my nervous breakdown, that's when everything comes rushing to the surface. And that's when everything is exposed. And that's when my mask cracked and fell off and left me completely exposed with no way to fend for myself and no way to hide. My own mask and my own camouflage left me standing on my own? That's rude. It's been there with me my whole life, and it's just gonna just toss me to the wind. It's exactly what it did. I'm not happy about it. I don't like being caught off guard. I need to know what's going on. Which is another autistic trait, which is kind of funny. That's a people trait, though. Come on, people. Not everything is an autistic trait. That's a people trait. People want to know. People want to know the truth and want to know what's going on, don't they? Maybe not. Maybe people want to believe their own alternative truth. I don't know. One of the things that I wanted to do today is I found this online assessment about being burnt out. And like I said, I don't typically do a whole bunch of reading or talking, and I'm definitely still unscripted. But I found this thing online, and if I remember, I'll link it down in I'll link it down in the description below, and then you guys can check it out because it's really eye-opening. And this is what it looks like. The Autistic Burnout Symptom Checklist. And it is broken down into different sections and stuff like that. Broken down into physical symptoms, cognitive symptoms, executive functioning, social, emotional, and sensory symptoms. And I'm not going to read them all, but just a few of them, like off the top. Under physical symptoms, feeling exhausted all the time and it's not due to being ill. Yeah. Feeling as if all your internal resources have been used up and you feel depleted and empty. Needing to sleep more. I'm exhausted for no reason because I don't do anything, but I'm exhausted. Cognitive symptoms. Cognitive. Feeling mentally exhausted. Yeah. Slowed down thinking, very much so. I'm stuttering more. My ADHD is elevated as well. And so that's interesting. My ADHD and my autism are all elevating and they're in direct conflict with each other. That's fun. Finding it hard to think, yes. Decreased ability to solve problems. Finding it hard to find the right words. Yeah, all of that. Under executive functioning, difficulty with changes in routine. I've been having meltdowns over the routine. If something interrupts me while I'm in the middle of a routine that I do every single stinking day and then I screw something up, I fucking lose it. This is easy. This is my routine. I do this every day. How am I screwing it up? Make it make sense. Memory problems, needing longer than usual to understand language. processing, my husband says something to me and I'm like, for a good 5 to 7 seconds before I can even respond. We're dealing with that now. Losing focus easily and difficulty switching between tasks. I'll stop there for now. There's 3 more to go over, but I want to get this side done. And so I'm talking to my therapist this morning, and I described to her the video that I had done about, the little fun video about me studying and, what that looks like and everything like that. And she said that was very, 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 very common. And she asked me, and I love her, she asked me what I thought my insights were on everything, because the way I was responding and behaving in the video was so frantic that it caught me off guard in a way, because the subject I was studying was just so interesting and I was interested. And I was behaving that way, being interested. And that's when it dawned on me, man, this is me completely unmasked, sitting at home doing this. I also realized a very important thing. I quit smoking. And it used to be when I would sit here at home and watch something on YouTube to teach myself something, I was chain smoking constantly. I could smoke a lot. I could go through a pack of cigarettes in definitely half a day, or less. And I don't smoke anymore, and I don't drink, or anything like that. And so when I filmed myself studying, that was the first time I'd seen myself completely in the raw, with no drugs, no drinking, and no smoking. And it also made sense that, since I had quit smoking, that the mouth stimming is back. And, I used to do that as a kid, and I had forgotten that I used to do that. I'm back again. Sorry about that. My husband came up because I had a package. But I used to mouth stim so much as a child that I literally had sores on the inside of my mouth and cracked lips, in the corners, and it was so painful, but I couldn't stop myself from doing it. And so, smoking was my hand to mouth stimulation, and it would help me. I always thought that it helped me relax, and I always thought smoking helped me to focus. Now I realize that that's not the case. What it was doing is it was replacing stimming that I had always done as a child, that I had always been told were bad habits. And when I started talking to my therapist about what was happening, and I told her what was going on with my Adderall, with my medication that I was taking, that I told her, I said, it seems like the medication is working. I said, but only 40% of me, there's this other 60% that I can't quite figure out what's going on. And all of this stuff that was just starting to bubble up through, taking my Adderall really helped the executive functioning side of me, the impulsivity. It really helped to tamp down the ADHD symptoms. Probably a good 25-30%. I mean, it wasn't great, but it was workable and it was something. And it quieted my brain down enough for my true self to start bubbling up through the surface. And now realizing all of those things that I used to do as a child wasn't bad habits. It was all of my stems, all of my stimming, and all of my sensory issues and sensory overload, and and I had no idea that me being a child and walking on my toes as a child and holding my hands like this, I didn't even know that was a thing. I thought that was just me, and I didn't know why I was being weird, and I didn't understand why I was always bringing so much distress to my mother, and why both she and my father were always pinning my hands down to my sides, because I do this a lot, except it probably looked like this back then, but now I do this because, it's more acceptable and I look like I'm excited and I'm saying something important. All of this new stuff started surfacing, and I'm not gonna lie, I started freaking out, or felt like I was freaking out. I didn't realize that I was in the beginning stages of burnout and what that was gonna look like. And when it happened, I didn't know what was going on. And it caught me off guard because I'm like, oh my God, why am I melting down over mayonnaise? Why am I melting down over this? Why am I melting down over that? Why am I irritated because I'm trying to find my show on TV and I can't remember if it's in Prime or Hulu or Disney, and I will fucking have a meltdown. I don't want to watch anything. I don't care. And he'll be like, well, Toots, here it is. I don't want to watch it anymore. I mean, really? I love my husband. He puts up with all my bullshit. He puts up with bullshit that I don't want to put up with myself. So these are the sorts of things that I've been experiencing lately. And I'm like, I really want to talk about this today when I come on camera because burnout is a real thing. And I've been trying to beat myself up over all of this stuff that's been going on when it really isn't my fault. I've been pretending my whole life. That mask grew with me and got tighter and tighter and tighter. And then whenever I was questioned about being lazy or you're not paying attention or you're not this or you're not that, I'd strap it on even tighter. Of course I couldn't breathe. Of course it was too tight. Of course eventually it was going to crack and fall off. And of course it doesn't want to go back on. It's like a child running free naked in the fields. It doesn't want to come back into the house and put its clothes on and go slop the pigs. Who wants to do that when you can run naked through daisies? Sounds like a pretty good idea. But anyway, the rest of the burnout list goes as follows. Under social symptoms, difficulty or discomfort when trying to socialize. I don't really have that problem because, I self-isolate and I don't go anywhere. Difficulty or discomfort when trying to communicate. Yeah, I don't want to talk to anybody. I just want to be silent. I just want to be quiet. I don't want to do anything. I don't want to talk. I want to talk to myself, like this even. Maybe. I don't even. Do I even want to hear my voice? I prefer the one in my head. Difficulty thinking how to respond when people talk to me. Yeah. Discomfort with eye contact. In case you didn't notice, I find it hard to keep eye contact with myself. Under emotional symptoms, difficulty managing emotions, easily overwhelmed by emotions, mood swings, increased number of meltdowns and shutdowns. And here is where it really hit home. Increased number of meltdowns and shutdowns, increased intensity of meltdowns and shutdowns, feeling at increased risk of having a meltdown or a shutdown. All of that. And then the last one is sensory symptoms, engaging in more stimming. That 4-minute thing I did, holy smokes, I was out of control. Major, massive stimming. That'll be coming up sometime soon. I have information that I need to go with that video. I can't put something out like that and then not have a, have content around it. So that's going to be coming. Finding everyday senses difficult to tolerate. I don't know what it is today. I can't stand to have water on my wrist today, and I don't know what I'm going to do because I wash my hair in the sink. Because I'd rather deal with water running down my arms in the sink than water and product and goo running down my back in the shower. Ugh. Everyday smells are difficult to tolerate. I went to the grocery store with my husband the other day, actually went in. I was so overstimulated by everything. The thing that put me over the edge and almost caused a meltdown in the store was this employee's breath. It was rancid and I lost it and I had to get out of there as quick as possible. Everyday sights difficult to tolerate. I'm okay with sights, and I haven't had any certain foods that are difficult to tolerate because I'm binge eating right now because I'm in the middle of a meltdown, I guess. And something else I told my therapist today, I said, all of a sudden I feel dumb. Like stuff that I used to be able to do easily. Why can't I? Why can't I do those things anymore? And she said, your brain is readjusting itself. She goes, and she verified it. She goes, you're in the middle of a meltdown. And I was like, okay, great. Something else for me to, research, which I did. I found that, that little thing on there. And it's not that I don't believe her when she tells me things. It's just that I have to research it for myself. I have to see it with my own eyeballs, because I'm inquisitive and I want to know. I need answers. And then I need to know if there's anything that I can do about it because, I'm an overachiever. And she said the average time to get over a meltdown, to work through it, because I told her, I said, I feel like I'm in the middle of this meltdown, and I said, and it feels permanent. And I don't like it. And I said, it seems like every little thing that I discover about myself that is a part of my personality that I've covered up my whole life, or I've been told that's a bad habit, but it's a stem and I need it. I said, I don't know what to do with that. And she was like, well, she goes, the older you are, the longer you've been masking, and the intensity of that masking, she goes, it's going to take a while for you to get through, this burnout you're experiencing right now. And I'm like, okay, cool. So I can work through it. She's like, yes, you can work through it. She goes, the average time to work through burnout, she goes, is typically 6 months to a year, maybe up to 2 years, depending on the severity of, of your situation. And I said, but I'm an overachiever. Can I do it like in 3 months? And she's like, I'm not done. She goes, you've been masking your whole life. She goes, since probably 4 or 5 years old. She goes, you're in your mid-60s now. She goes, just know that you're going to go in and out of burnout probably over the next several years, 3 to 5 years, as you're exposing your true self to yourself. There's going to be a process that you go through, and part of that process is going to be experiencing meltdowns and irritabilities and those sorts of things. She goes, but now that you know that, she goes, you can have a plan of action, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to have a plan of action after seeing that video that I had put together. I want to have an action plan, for the meltdowns, and an action plan on how to have some coping skills. So when I am studying and doing things, I can be more effective with that study, and instead of all over the place. There were even 2 times in that 4-minute video that I just totally just went blank. And I do notice that I do it on these videos too sometimes. And I sent it to my therapist, and she's like, wow, yeah. She goes, you got a lot going on in there. She goes, but she said that it just looked like I was just concentrating, trying to, what was the word she used? I'm trying to think of the word. Process. She goes, you look like you were trying to process information, and during that time that you're processing, you don't realize that you've checked out, and that's how you're missing things. Because the one thing that distressed me in the video is I was trying to list 5 things that the video was talking about that I wanted to do more research on, and I only had 4 written down on my page. And I looked up, because I had paused the video several times in 4 minutes, and I was like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But I only had 4 things, and so I couldn't figure out what I had missed. And I remember thinking to myself, there's only 5 things. You have 4. There's 1 missing. How hard could this be? It was harder than I thought. So that whole video verified what's going through with my mind, which is, just having a meltdown and pretending for so long, for so many years. And, now I'm at a point where even if I could put the mask back on, this is me today. I might change my mind tomorrow, but me today, it's like, boy, I don't ever, ever, ever want to put that mask back on. And I know that there are certain situations where you have to mask. Everybody does. Even neurotypical people do. You know, there are certain situations where you have to mask. And I'm not talking about those situations. I'm talking about just getting through normal everyday life like every other, you know, Dick and Jane, you know. And not putting that mask back on and living with our true selves and figuring out coping skills and coping mechanisms that we can, you know, put together with our quirky personalities. And I'm thinking that that's going to be able to be done very seamlessly. It should be easy, but I think everything should be easy. But it should be easy to take the mask off, keep the mask away, and replace it with coping skills and coping mechanisms and a different kind of confidence, like a true confidence. And maybe that confidence is being quirky. Maybe that confidence is being, you know, charming or cheesy, you know, or eccentric. Any of those things I think are preferable to wearing a tight mask. Who wants to do that? Because when we can't breathe, we're not paying attention to anything but trying to capture that next breath, right? So anyway, that was a lot. And there's going to be many follow-up videos and stuff like that. But I just wanted to come on here and finish up my hair and talk a little bit about the burnout that's going on in my life right now, because, you know, I'm not really handling it very well, you know, but I'm definitely hopeful. I'm definitely excited to research more about autism and what that means and what it looks like. And I hope you're enjoying my journey. And I'll just be coming on here just dumping, you know, what's ever going on in my life. I don't really have a whole lot to offer you guys except sitting together and doing our hair, and then just rambling on about new insights and things that I'm stumbling across and how I'm planning on tackling those. So thanks for being with me. And real quick before we go, what I'm going to be putting in my hair today is my favorite, Nature's Little Secret, and it's the avocado moisture cream, and that'll be going on after a shampoo, regular conditioner. I'm going to put this on, and then my okra curl defining gel, another favorite. And so that's what I'm going to be putting in my hair today. I hope you guys have a great week. I will see you in my next video, and take that mask off. Be brave. And if you have any questions about it, or if you want to talk about it, hit me up in the comments down below. And until then, deuces. Peace out.